The 4th Congressional District of Mississippi is represented by Mike Ezell. Congressman Ezell joins us this morning from his office in Washington, D.C. Southern Miss grad, Pascagoula native. He said he wouldn't mind being in Jackson County and walking around those hills a little bit right now as springtime rolls on. Right. Still kind of waiting on springtime to get to Washington, D.C. Good morning, Congressman.
Oh. Hey, good morning, Richard, and thank you so much for having me today. That was a nice welcome.
I appreciate your time very much. As we've talked with our congressional delegation in D.C., I feel like a common theme has been it's been busier than anybody can imagine. We know that President Trump has operated at a breakneck speed in these 5 weeks since the inauguration. What has been your experience over the last 5 weeks since the president was inaugurated?
Well, exactly that. I mean, it's like unbelievable, daylight till midnight. And, apparently the president doesn't sleep. It has been nonstop. I think I've got 43 meetings just this week trying to get things done, folks coming in and me meeting them and talking to them and trying to make stuff happen. It's got to the point now where I can't wait to wake up in the morning so I can see what Trump did last night. It's just kind of got back in the groove there of seeing what's happening. And I tell you, it's been pretty neat experience.
I'm not being flippant when I ask this at all, but is there a little bit of it's almost hard even for you and your colleagues to keep up with everything that is happening? I know in terms of covering it and talking about the things that are happening in D.C. and happening in Mississippi, it's a little difficult to keep up with everything. How do you manage that?
Well, I tell you, it's almost like information overload at times. I make notes. I try to do sticky notes. And so my staff comes in here. Thank God we have these smart young folks that are running the country. And, they keep us apprised of everything. These young folks that are here in Washington, D.C., they work as hard as President Trump. I mean, they are in early. They're taking all this information in. They're trying to keep us apprised of everything. And it's like, look, I tell them sometimes, quit talking so fast. I can't hear that fast. Slow it down just a little bit. So, yeah, you're right. Keeping up with Trump is no easy task. And so I'm doing my best. And I think, but what I will tell you, there's such a heightened good feeling up here amongst the Republicans at this time because we're getting some things done. We're trying to get rid of some of these crazy regulations. And it's just a new day. With President and J.D. Vance in there, and it's really exciting.
One of the regulations or series of regulations that has been pulled back, and I know this is important to you, has been the executive order that repeals some of the offshore drilling ban. We know that is a big deal in Mississippi because of the Gulf of America, not the Gulf of Mexico, but some of the drilling that's happening offshore with Mississippi as well. Talk to us a little bit about that process and what that means for the companies that are engaged in offshore drilling.
Well, what it's going to mean is just like the president said, drill, baby, drill. And, Biden did everything he could to shut down America's engine. We'll never get out of this debt until we can start making money. And we can make money off that oil out there in the Gulf. We can sell it. We can do so many different things with it. And for them just to arbitrarily just make it so difficult that we could not use something that has been a great part of the history of America is the oil business and what it does for this country. I mean, look at the jobs it generates, income, it improves people's lives, but they did everything they could do, whether it be in gas and oil or whether it be in digging for minerals, anything that they could do to shut down the American way of life. And thank God Trump got elected, and we're back in power now, and I'm doing everything I can to support his efforts.
Visiting with Congressman Mike Ezell, we were talking earlier this morning about the tariff conversation. We know that the Mexico and Canadian tariffs go into place or went into place at midnight last night at a rate of 25%, that it's increased with China as well. I think it's a complicated conversation, and we were talking earlier about the fact that the tariff discussion is not a short-term play. That is a longer-range plan. When you look at that, because there could be some short-term pain, is this a policy that makes sense?
I believe it is. And, one thing I've seen about the president, Every time they think he's made some big mistake, it ends up in his favor, and it ends up favoring the American people. So I believe that with the wisdom that Trump brings to, making America great again through job creations, all these various things, yes, there's going to be some difficulty for 6 months. What I believe is that these foreign nations need America a whole lot more than we need them. And it's like one of the things that I heard him say, it's time for America to quit getting ripped off. We've been ripped off for so long until it's almost like we've been beat down. But Trump is transparent. He's not made any secrets about what he's doing. And I believe that in the long run, there's going to be some tough times, I think, ahead until we can get all this stuff figured out. And I think the president has had 4 years to think about what has happened, what's going to happen, and how he can make it better. And again, I go back to the point where, China, Mexico, Canada, everybody needs America more than we need them.
So you certainly know from the position in which you're sitting that the media does not handle short-term pain well at all because they get headlines out of it. Is there an appetite among congressional Republicans to stick with this plan and to be able to handle the barbs that come from the media and maybe even from constituents for some short-term pain like we're discussing for a long-term good? Because we know in Congress and the House of Representatives, the election cycle is 2 years. It's not 6 years like it is in the Senate. It's not like it's not 4 years for the White House. We'll be talking about midterms in the blink of an eye.
That's it. And it'll be here. I'll tell you this. I believe that the American people saw just how bad things were over the last 4 years. And the American people suffered tremendously. And I think on the short term, it's like most of us that have worked all of our lives, sometimes you have to kind of do without for a little while to get to the end goal to where you're going to get. I do believe that the people are going to stand with the president. And what we've got to do is fight off this liberal media, continual hack, beat us up kind of thing, and look at the long-term goals that the president has set for us to make things better for the American people. And I believe our people will stick with us.
Visiting with Congressman Mike Ezell, represents the 4th District from the southern part of the state of Mississippi. With every member of our delegation, I've asked about a farm bill. I've asked about help for farmers. We know that agriculture is such a big part of the state of Mississippi. How much discussion is going on, even if it's not on the floor of the House, about the farm bill and creating some relief for farmers?
Yes, absolutely. I had dinner last night with G.T. Thompson, the chairman of Ag, and I felt confident after having that conversation. I think it's going to be time that we kind of force the issue. And a lot of times it's just like on the vote last week. We had to get the president involved to get things done. The president knows how important farming is to this country. We feed the world. We feed ourselves. And I think it's time that we look at taking care of our farmers, our cattle farmers. We had the big drought last year in Mississippi, and so many of our farmers lost not only pine trees, cows, cattle, all sorts of losses. And the president knows that. If you just listen to him sometime, you'll see how he feels about the common man. And that's why the president, I believe, has been able to connect so well with everyday Americans, because he understands how to make. He got to make a payroll. You got to sell your cows. You got to sell your pine trees. You got to do all the things that we do in Mississippi. And I just believe that the president is going to work hard and he's going to push for this to happen. We got to take care of our farmers because they take care of the country.
Congressman, it's rare that we get a bill that is just about one issue. There's always other stuff that's thrown in there. Is there a scenario where a farm bill could be just about farming and it couldn't, and perhaps it doesn't have the SNAP program, food stamp programs, and a lot of other entitlements rolled into that bill as well?
The only way I think that could happen is if the president got directly involved in that thing and just really pushed it. There's so many things, like you just said, that are attached to it that have been going on for years. But what we're seeing now with this new administration is a change that has been coming. And I think if anybody could help get it done, would be quarterback Donald Trump. And that's what we need. We need that stand, in my opinion. and I've only been here 2 years, but in my opinion, we need that so that we can take care of our farmers specifically. Because again, I know the importance of what it's like to make a living on a farm. I have had family members and friends for years that do this.
Got a joint session of Congress tonight with the president speaking. Mike Ezell will be there. Congressman, thank you so much for your time this morning. Great catching up, and look forward to visiting with you soon.
I got my Mississippi tie on for tonight. I got my Mississippi tie on.
We appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
We got more coming up with you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. That was Congressman Mike Ezell.